Do you live in a cool climate and want a quick, inexpensive season extender? Consider a low tunnel. I built my tunnel out of 1/2-inch electrical metal conduit to cover a late summer planting of carrots in my Zone 3 garden using this handy homemade hoop bender that I found on Backwood Basics YouTube channel. You can buy much fancier hoop benders from garden supply companies, but this one worked just fine for me. I considered using a PVC conduit, which is flexible enough that you don't need a bender, but I was afraid it wouldn't stand up to the wind and snow that my relatively unsheltered garden gets. You want to fasten your hoop bender to something solid. Measure in 2 feet from each end of your 10-foot piece of conduit and make a mark. Then simply slide your conduit through the loop on your bender to the first mark and begin bending your pipe. Keep sliding the pipe along the bender and continue bending it until you reach the mark at the other end. Then slide your conduit back out of the bender, and voila, you have yourself a hoop. You can of course force your metal hoops right into the ground, but I chose to use short pieces of rebar instead to make a solid foundation for my hoops. This not only makes the tunnel more solid, but also keeps the ends of your hoops from getting packed full of soil. Once you have the rebar in place, simply slide the hoops onto the rebar. I used 1x3 wooden strapping with electrical conduit straps to make a purlin along the top of my hoops, and that provided extra strength and rigidity to help withstand the wind and the snow load that I get in my unsheltered garden. I covered the low tunnel with some well-worn row cover that was left over from previous use. The advantage of row cover is that it lets in the rain as well as the sunlight. 6mm plastic is more durable and will provide more insulation in the early spring and late fall, but will require irrigation even when the weather is wet and will need vented on hot days. As you can tell by this video, if you're working alone, you'll find it much easier if you wait for a day when there's no wind. Specialized clips are available online for fastening the cover to your hoops, but I used binder clips purchased at the local dollar store. The binder clips work fairly well on row cover, but are hard to keep on tightly stretched plastic, especially on a windy day. But rather than buy fancy clips, I decided to make my own out of 3/4-inch PVC conduit. Simply cut the PVC into short lengths, then cut a notch lengthwise out of the short piece, and you have yourself a clip. It takes a little experimentation to figure out how wide your notch needs to be to securely fasten your cover onto the metal hoops. Even with a layer of plastic over the low tunnel, Zone 3 winters make year-round gardening extremely difficult, if not impossible, without a heated greenhouse. But a low tunnel will certainly give you an early spring start and extend your cool season crops into late fall. If you'd like this video, please give it a thumbs up or even a review, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, please check out shortseasongarden.com for more tips on Zone 3 vegetable gardening.